Maplewood was a picturesque town, known for its lush greenery and tight-knit community. But for one lonely stray dog, life was far from idyllic. The dog, a mix of German Shepherd and local breed, had been wandering the streets for as long as he could remember. He had no name, no home, and no one to care for him. His days were spent scavenging for food, dodging angry shopkeepers, and avoiding other territorial dogs. The dog's life was a constant battle for survival. His fur was matted, his ribs visible through his thin frame, and his paws were cracked and sore. He had learned to be wary of humans, as most either ignored him or chased him away. But deep down, he longed for companionship, for a kind word or a gentle touch. One evening, as the sun set and the streets grew quiet, the dog limped into a dimly lit alley. His paw was injured, and he was starving. He sniffed around a trash bin, hoping to find something to eat. Just then, he heard footsteps approaching. He froze, ready to bolt, but something about the man's calm demeanor made him hesitate. Officer Jake Thompson was a well-respected figure in Maplewood. Known for his kindness and dedication, Jake had always had a soft spot for animals. As he walked down the alley on his evening patrol, he noticed the stray dog rummaging through the trash. The dog's condition broke his heart. Jake crouched down slowly, not wanting to scare the dog. "Hey there, buddy," he said softly, his voice gentle and reassuring. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a granola bar. Breaking off a piece, he offered it to the dog. The dog hesitated, his eyes darting between Jake and the food. Hunger eventually won, and he cautiously took the food from Jake's hand. Jake smiled and patted the dog gently. "You're a good boy, aren't you?" he said. The dog wagged his tail slightly, a glimmer of trust forming in his eyes. Jake checked the dog's injured paw and made a mental note to bring some supplies the next day. Over the next few days, the dog started appearing whenever Jake was on patrol. Jake began carrying dog treats in his pocket, and the two developed a routine. The dog would wait at the corner of Maple Street, and Jake would stop by to feed him and check on his injured paw. Jake even started calling him Buddy, though he knew he couldn't take him home. His apartment didn't allow pets, and his busy schedule made it difficult to care for a dog. But Buddy had other plans. He began following Jake during his patrols, always keeping a safe distance. Jake didn't mind. In fact, he found comfort in the dog's presence. The townspeople started noticing the unlikely duo and would often smile at the sight of the stray dog trailing behind the kind-hearted officer. One cold, rainy night, Jake received a call about suspicious activity near the old warehouse on the outskirts of town. He decided to check it out alone, thinking it was probably just kids causing trouble. As he approached the warehouse, he noticed two men lurking in the shadows. Before he could react, they ambushed him. "Hand over your wallet and your gun," one of the men growled, pointing a knife at Jake. Jake tried to reason with them, but the situation quickly escalated. The second man grabbed Jake from behind, and a struggle ensued. Jake was outnumbered and overpowered. Just as one of the men raised the knife to strike, a loud, ferocious bark echoed through the alley. Buddy came charging in, his fur bristling and teeth bared. The men were caught off guard. Buddy lunged at the man with the knife, biting his arm and causing him to drop the weapon. Jake seized the opportunity to push the other man away and reach for his radio. "Backup needed at the old warehouse. Officer down," Jake shouted into the radio. Buddy continued to bark and snarl, keeping the attackers at bay. The men, now terrified of the aggressive dog, tried to flee, but Buddy chased after them, giving Jake enough time to restrain one of them with handcuffs. Within minutes, backup arrived, and the two men were arrested. The next day, the story of Buddy's bravery spread like wildfire. The local news picked it up, and soon the entire town was talking about the stray dog who had saved a police officer. Jake knew he couldn't let Buddy go back to living on the streets. He decided to adopt him, despite the challenges. Jake named the dog Hero, and the two became inseparable. Hero's injured paw was treated, and he was given a warm bed, plenty of food, and all the love he had been missing. Jake even built a small doghouse in his backyard, though Hero preferred to sleep inside, curled up at Jake's feet. Hero's story didn't end there. His act of bravery inspired the community to take action. A local animal shelter started a campaign to rescue and rehabilitate stray animals, and many families came forward to adopt. Hero became the face of the campaign, and Jake often took him to schools and community events to share their story. But the most profound change was in Jake himself. Hero had not only saved his life, but also taught him the true meaning of loyalty and unconditional love. Jake often said, "Hero may have been a stray, but he's the best friend I've ever had." The story of Hero and Jake became a legend in Maplewood, a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary heroes come from the most unexpected places. And for Hero, the lonely stray who once had nothing, he finally found a home, a purpose, and a family.